वर्षों से सांप्रदायिक ताकतों का साथ लेकर देश विरोधी अभियानों का प्रच्छिन्न रूप से समर्थन कर रही है। एसडीपीआई का सपोर्ट लेने का मतलब ही होता है कि आप भारत की एकता और अखंडता में विश्वास नहीं करते।
सर फाइनली साउथ इंडिया में ओके दैट वाज यूनियन मिनिस्टर मिस्टर अमित शाह सेइंग दैट the guarantees of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is resonating with people. They will win all 28 seats in Karnataka.
Good evening, this is Brass Tax. I'm Zaka Jacob. The Katchatheevu row is now escalating into a major political showdown between the BJP and the DMK. Now, one part of it is absolutely diplomatic, no question about it. One part of it is historic. But what if the entire purpose of this controversy was to show up the DMK politically? Now, for a party that claims to be the custodian of Dravidian ideology and Tamil values, it is very apparent from this RTI reply and in the conversations that Mr. Keval Singh, who was the then External Affairs Secretary, had with the then Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Mr. Karunanidhi, that Mr. Karunanidhi did very little to stop the giving away of an island by the then Indira government to the Sri Lankans. Where was the Tamil pride in that? Also, the more real issue, which is of course the detention, the arrests and even the shooting of Indian fishermen, Tamil fishermen at the hands of Sri Lanka. If Kachchatheevu was not given away, is it possible to have stopped these atrocities? And today, at a time, and clearly this was not the case in 1974, but certainly in 2024, the Chinese threat in the Indian Ocean region is real, it's present, and it is the most preeminent threat in this region. What if tomorrow the Sri Lankan government decides that they're inviting the Chinese for exploration around Katchatheevu? Would then the historic blunder of 1974 have to be revisited? But first, the story so far.
कच्छाथीवू टापू है, द्वीप है। वो द्वीप भारत का हिस्सा था, लेकिन कांग्रेस ने उसको श्रीलंका को दे दिया।
My honorable friend from the DMK was just now talking about Kachchatheevu, the island. It appears to me that the DMK thinks that probably they can desperately cling to this issue and survive in Tamil Nadu.
एक ऐसी भूमि जो भारत और तमिल का एक हिस्सा था, उसको कंसीलमेंट, कंस्पिरेसी और कल्यूजन से कांग्रेस और डीएमके के प्रथम परिवार ने सौंप दिया थाली में.
Why are you making up something after 50 years? Why do you not talk about what happened in the last 2-3 years?
प्रधानमंत्री जी तथ्यों को तोड़ मरोड़ के पेश करते हैं, होमवर्क करते नहीं हैं.
All right, so the crux of this matter lies in some of the explosive details that have come out from this 31-page RTI reply. This RTI was filed by the state BJP president, Mr. Nirmala, to which the government of India has responded. A lot of this is in the public domain, but now new details have emerged from that RTI. This was, again, part of the conversation that the then Foreign Secretary, Mr. Keval Singh, had with Mr. Karunanidhi, who was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. This was in 1974, prior to the agreement. Now, as per this RTI, Mr. Keval Singh had told Mr. Karunanidhi that Sri Lanka was putting pressure to refer this issue to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ. That Sri Lanka was putting pressure to settle this issue before the end of 1974 because the Tamil Tigers issue had reached a sort of a boiling point back then. There is a strong pro-China lobby that was present in Sri Lanka back then, And Mr. Keval Singh had told Mr. Karunanidhi that the pro-China lobby there in Sri Lanka was eager to take advantage of the tensions between Colombo and New Delhi. Also, Mr. Keval Singh, in a way, dissing India's own case, if it were to go to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, he said that it would embarrass India if the matter went to the ICJ. Further delaying the issue, according to him, was not in India's favor. So, in a sense, the Foreign Secretary at that time did not even believe that India had a case if India went to the International Court of Justice. India wanted to avoid any kind of third-party interference. Of course, there was the overhang of what happened in 1948 when India took the Kashmir issue to the United Nations. So this would have again been a strategic blunder, according to Mr. Keval Singh. The world, in those cases, back in the 70s, it was the heady days of non-alignment, etc., would always tend to favor the underdog or the smaller nation over a larger one in the instance of a dispute between these two countries. But the issue again comes down to, forget about the political war of words. You can question the timing, you can question, why now, what were governments doing for 50 years. There is a security, there is an economic, even a cultural paradigm which cannot be ignored. While the scale of this island may be unimportant, it is small, it is just 1.5, 1.6 kilometers long. The location of it is key. Kachchatheevu is located in the Pak Straits between India and Sri Lanka. The island has been a point of contention. The region's geopolitics, particularly its recent proximity, Sri Lanka's recent proximity to China, whether it is the Hambantota port, whether it is the international shipping terminal, the container terminal that they're building in Colombo. According to recent reports, the Sri Lankan government recently leased out land around the Deft Island and around Katchatheevu to Chinese power companies to see if they can extract power from the islands around that area. Katchatheevu has a potential to serve as some kind of a base for naval activities by Chinese Navy, if, of course, the Sri Lankan government allows that to happen. Many Indian fishermen and their livelihoods depend on access to these waters. Remember, there have been multiple instances. Yesterday, the External Affairs Minister listed out there are about 6,000 cases where Indian fishermen had been detained over the last 30 years because they were fishing in waters around Katchatheevu. There's also ambiguity around the agreements, which has led to the arrest of many fishermen, the confiscation of their equipment, and this is a constant running problem for fisher folks around that entire coastal belt. And it's not just around Ramanathapuram, around Kachchatheevu. This, of course, comprises about 5 to 6 constituencies, which I'll explain on the magic wall later on in the program. But Kachchatheevu also holds cultural and religious significance for both people in Sri Lanka as well as in India. It is home to a St. Anthony shrine, which is an important religious site for pilgrims from both countries. So, was it a historic blunder to have given away Kachchatheevu almost on a platter to the then Sri Lankan government under Sirimavo Bandaranaike and to the BJP? Why rake up these old ghosts, rake up these skeletons from the cupboard from 50 years ago? Let me now open this up. A full panel joining us here on the broadcast. Mr. T.K. Silangovan is senior leader of the DMK, chief spokesperson of the DMK party. Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. Mohan Kumar Mangalam, spokesperson of the Congress party. Shekhar Iyer is senior journalist, and R.K. Radhakrishnan, also senior journalist, now joining us. Mr. T.K. Silangovan, let me start with you first. There is, as per this RTI reply that runs into 31 pages, Mr. Keval Singh, who was then the Foreign Secretary, had multiple conversations with Mr. Karunanidhi, who was the Chief Minister then. And in this instance, Mr. Keval Singh tells Mr. Karunanidhi that, look, if we go to the ICJ, we don't even have a case. Mr. Karunanidhi, as per this RTI, tells Mr. Keval Singh, while in private, I agree with your stand, I'm willing to go with your stand. In public, because of political pressures, I cannot back this stand. So where then, sir, is the BJP is asking your party, where then is Dravidian ideology? Where then is the Tamil interests that you claim to be the custodians of? If Mr. Karunanidhi was saying, in private I will back you, but in public I will not back you.
No, the agreement between Sri Lanka and India during 1974 was very clear. It was about pushing the maritime boundary a little towards India. that agreement categorically stated that all the islands and islets in between the old maritime boundary and the new maritime boundary can be used by both the countries. That is what the agreement of 1974, which was placed before the parliament, speaks. Even at that time, they have discussed about pushing the maritime boundary towards India with the CM. But Kachchatheevu, in that case, it was very clear that Katchatheevu shall be used by both the countries. That was the agreement at that time in 1974. So the question of giving away Katchatheevu is still, but the DMK, Mr. Iraj Elian was the leader of the DMK party in parliament. He opposed it strongly. He said that pushing the maritime boundary is different from giving away Katchatheevu. How can the Kachchatheevu be used by both the countries? That is what his question, he opposed it. At the same time, this Tamil Nadu Assembly also had passed a resolution against this. So the question of giving away Kachchatheevu was not the issue at that time. It was about pushing the maritime boundary towards India was the question.
No, but Mr. Elangovan,
before the parliament.
By doing that, by pushing the maritime boundary, de facto, if not de jure, Katchatheevu became Sri Lankan territory. Today it is Sri Lankan territory.
Yeah, but at that time in 1974, it was the same agreement contained this paragraph also, that all the islands and islets in between both the boundaries shall be used by both the countries. That was also there. Even then we opposed it.
Okay.
But after our government was dismissed in 1976, then this clause was removed. Until then, as long as we were in power, this clause was not there. It was there in the agreement.
So tell me, Mr. Elangovan, before I open this up to the rest of our panel, in 1976, the fishing agreement came into place, which restricted Indian fishermen from fishing around Katchatheevu. Your party has been in power from 1967, intermittently, virtually every 5 years or every 10 years in Tamil Nadu. You have been in alliance, first with the Vajpayee government from 1999 to 2004, and then from 2004 to 2014 in the UPA. What did you do to address this issue?
See, we had opposed, even our leader had gone to court in this matter, gone to Supreme Court, but the government of India had made a different statement, and so the case, I think the case is still pending. It must be pending because they have not read any judgment on that case, but we had gone to court opposing giving away Kachchatheevu to Sri Lanka, because it is in the registry of Ramnath Raja who were ruling that part of India at that time.
Okay.
So we said that Kachchatheevu should not be given.
So Sanju Verma, let me now open this up to the rest of our panelists. Sanju Verma, isn't it rather convenient for the BJP that within a month before the Tamil Nadu elections, your state president, who's also a contestant in this upcoming election from the seat of Coimbatore, files an RTI request on the 4th of March. Within a week, on the 11th of March, the reply is given by the government of India, and all of these details come out into the public domain. If this is not political and if this is not with an eye on the elections, then what is? And also to the second question that the DMK and Congress are asking, for 10 years, the Modi government has been in power. What have you done to bring back Kachchatheevu?
Okay, Zaka, I find it amusing. I'm not going to be agitated by the fact that no matter who does anything, hamesha katgade mein BJP khadi hoti hai. You always try and train your guns on the BJP rather than asking questions of people who actually, I did not interrupt. I don't know who's this person who's trying to heckle me. Please wait for your turn. Thank you. I don't need any background music. Who was in power between 1974 and 2014? For the longest time, in these 4 decades, in the 40 years between 74 and 2014, it was the Congress which was in power at the center and DMK which was in power in Tamil Nadu. So my first point is, the Congress and DMK have been in cahoots with each other. As S. Jaishankar said, it is not the question of who did it, but it is the question of who hid it. First and foremost, DMK has 2 different, points of view. A private view hai, and then there is the public view. You accuse the BJP of politicizing it, but the DMK in every manifesto, ahead of every election, says we are going to get back Kachchatheevu. it's a classic case of, chori bhi or sina jori bhi. It is the DMK which signed the general acceptance agreement on the 19th of June 1974. And then 1974, 26 June, Indira Gandhi accepted. Basically, Indira Gandhi and Karunanidhi had a consensus कि Kachchatheevu को दे देना है Sri Lanka को, because we want to de-escalate the growing tensions. We want to improve bilateral ties. For a minute, let me just, assume that what Indira Gandhi had in mind was born out of bona fide intent. What Karunanidhi had in mind was born out of bona fide intent. They indeed wanted to de-escalate, demilitarize, and wanted to enhance bilateral ties. You tell me, Zaka, despite giving away 285 acres of Kachchatheevu, did the bilateral ties then between Sri Lanka and India improve? No. I don't want to go into the details of the Indian peacekeeping force and what happened by way of that LTTE fiasco, the brainchild of Rahul Gandhi's father, Rajiv Gandhi, with more than 36,000 Tamilian ultras, tigers and civilians killed, more than 9,000 people on the Indian side killed, including more than 4,000 of our armed forces and naval troops. I'm not getting into that. My limited point is this. When you accuse the BJP of politicizing it, I want to ask you, have you not politicized it ahead of every single assembly election in Tamil Nadu? What did you do for 40 years? Thank God for the Modi government. Forget the timing. At least we are now bringing this entire issue into the public discourse so that the people of Tamil Nadu know that only ahead of elections, Karunanidhi and Cabal say Kachchatheevu ko वापस लाएंगे. The moment elections are over, Kachchatheevu is thrown into the garbage bin. But the BJP is not going to do that. Just 10 seconds more. Before you take the moral high ground, I have been asked questions in the last 24 hours by Congress and DMK spokespersons. What about the land border agreement between India and Bangladesh? You guys gave away 10,000 acres of territory to Bangladesh. Let me tell you, even the land border agreement was signed between Indira Gandhi and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, her counterpart in Bangladesh, way back in 1974. We were committed to give them 10,000 acres as part of the agreement that was signed so that we could do a proper fencing of the Indo-Bangladesh border, which runs into 4,097 kilometers. Because that LBA was never adhered to, the Indo-Bangladesh border fencing could not be done. And thanks to the Modi government, today more than 3,436 kilometers along the Indo-Bangladesh border has been fenced because we did what Indira Gandhi should have done in terms of sticking
I don't want to bring in the Bangladesh angle into this, but let me ask Mohan Kumar Mangalam. The idea of this entire controversy, if at all if your contention is that this whole thing is orchestrated, two things. There were two agreements, one in 1974, the other in 1976. 1974 was the giving away, quote unquote, of Kachchatheevu, and to get it back, you have to go against the Vienna Convention on Legal Treaties, etc., which may be diplomatically fraught with risk. But what if the attempt here is to change the 1976 agreement, which has material value for the fishermen of Tamil Nadu, to try and amend it in a way that they have fishing rights around Kachchatheevu? Is able to secure that. And after all, the Modi government can rightfully claim, when Sri Lanka was in the economic doldrums, no other country came and gave it the kind of money. $4.5 billion is what India gave to Sri Lanka. The Chinese did not. Tomorrow, if they're able to get some kind of concession on fishing rights for Tamil fishermen around Kachchatheevu, then rightfully they can turn around and ask, why couldn't the DMK and the Congress do this for the last 50 years?
Saka, the agreement of 1976 gave them the fishing rights around Kachchatheevu as an exclusive economic zone, but gave us exclusive fishing rights on the Wedge Bank, which is a 10,000 square kilometer submarine plateau, supposedly, home to more than 60 species of fishes and oceanic animals, largely one of the richest fishing resources in all of India. So if we are going to take back that area, then we might have to give back the Wedge Bank. And, we're conflating the issue of Kachchatheevu with the arrest of fishermen. I'll have you know that even if you talk to the former High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Mr. Ashok Kanta, who's been on quite a few shows in the last few days, he'll tell you in his experience as well that most of the arrests of these fishermen are nowhere near Kachchatheevu. It is absolutely not a problem in that area. In fact, there are these larger boats that go from Thoothukudi and Kanyakumari and actually fish almost near the edge of the maritime border. And those are those boats that are getting taken away, and those are the arrests that are happening. And by the way, there has been no reduction in the arrests and no reduction in the seizures since Mr. Modi came to power. If you look at as far back as 2003, the entire number would be about 6,500 odd, of which 3,000 has happened, 3,300 odd is in the last decade when Mr. Modi has been in power. You're right, we've given billions of dollars in credit as well as grants to the Sri Lankan government. This would have been a time if the Prime Minister genuinely felt that Kachchatheevu is the reason for the fishing problem, the fishermen's problems, that he could have negotiated some sort of lease rights to get it back. To say that he might do in the future, I highly doubt it. He's only using this as he does every other issue he brings out from the past, which is for the electoral purpose, since they don't have any issue to compete in Tamil Nadu on.
No, but Mohan, please answer this. No, please answer this. If Kachchatheevu was not given away, and if Kachchatheevu was Indian territory, what stops you from saying that, maybe the shooting of the Sri Lankan fishermen, maybe the detainment, the arrest, this issue could have been better handled? That's one part of it. And second, what if tomorrow the Chinese... No, one second, I'm not done. What if tomorrow the Sri Lankans give, let's say, mining rights or exploration rights to the Chinese around Katchatheevu? They can very well say Katchatheevu is Sri Lankan territory.
You don't think that the fact that they've given a massive port to the Chinese is a problem in itself? Is that not close enough for us to think that that's a problem? That's maybe why the Indian government is maintaining friendly relations with the Sri Lankans and doling out as much as it is in credit lines.
No, that's a stupid allegation.
Right.
No, one second. Let him finish.
I'm not going to let someone interrupt me and start making
you finish,
attacks.
You finish, and then...
you finish. I will not stand for the word stupid being used.
Okay, fair enough.
You reprimand her right now? Or
please mind your language.
Mind your language.
Please mind the language. No, 1 second, ma'am. Please. No foul language on the show. No. And I'm not going to get diverted. Mohan, finish your point.
As my point goes, there are strategic interests that the Chinese have not only in Sri Lanka but in all border countries today. They have been investing ad nauseum in these countries to try and create a wall around us. And these are issues that anyway the government should be concerned about.
Okay.
If they do come to Kachchatheevu, it would be a massive red flag. And it's at that point that if we have a friendly relationship with Sri Lanka, we can ensure that doesn't happen.
Okay, 10 seconds, Sanjay Verma, quick response. And then I want to show something on the magic wall before I go to RK and to Shekhar Iyer.
Zaka, I don't know why the Congress spokesperson got so itchy when I used the term stupid allegation when they have used worse language for the Prime Minister on your show. And you've been a mute spectator. I don't know why you got so itchy today.
No, 1 second. I don't take bad language from anyone. If Mohan had used it, I would have reprimanded him, just like I'm reprimanding you. But go ahead, make the material point, please. Please make the material point. Sanjay Verma, please make the material point.
Yeah, don't be a hypocrite, Zaka. Thank you so much.
Please make the material point.
I'm making the material point, don't try to rush me. My material point is this. Who gave away 38,000 square kilometers of Aksai Chin, saying not a blade of grass grows there? It was Nehru who capitulated in front of the Chinese in 1962. It was the then Prime Minister Pandit Nehru who gave away large parts of Chhabji Valley, Chumur, Ganjok, who allowed the fall of Fort Zaradar in Ganjok. It all happened under the long and incompetent nose of Jawaharlal Nehru, who gave away large parts of Rann of Kutch to Pakistan. It was Indira Gandhi who gave away large parts of Kashmir, which we now call as POK, to Pakistan. It was Indira Gandhi. And then Mohan Kumar Mangalam sits here and gives a bhashan to the BJP. We don't need your lessons because you surrender.
All right. I'm now moving on to the magic wall, and I want to show to our viewers why politically,
the first Secretary Political Affairs in Sri Lanka between 1988 and 1990. He was the main political advisor to the IPKF, which of course had an inglorious exit from Sri Lanka. Having said that, let me come to Kachchatheevu. I was posted in Sri Lanka during the time that Ashok Kant also was posted there. I have seen the fishermen's issue was at the zenith at that point of time. Fishermen's issue has nothing to do with Kachchatheevu. Fishermen fish very close to the Sri Lankan waters, because Sri Lankan coastline, because that is where the fish is. There is no fish from Ramanathapuram onwards from the coastline in Tangachibadam or Rameshwaram to way past Delph Island. Till that, bottom trawling has ensured that there is absolutely not any fish at all, zero fish, so to speak of. The other thing, you can only give something that you already have. India didn't have Kachchatheevu at any point of time. It was a place in dispute. You go to 1921, where the Raja of Ramnad the Madras presidency and the collector of Ceylon had sat down for a meeting, and all their objections were noted in the sense that Raja of Ramnad told that he was collecting rent from there. The collector of Ceylon made it clear that it was his territory and whatnot. From 1921, this issue was tested, and let us not forget the 1971 war, where refueling facilities for Pakistan were provided in Colombo. So for Indira Gandhi and the Congress, it was a strategic issue to, one, drive out any other third party, third force from the seas surrounding Katchatheevu and the Pak Strait and, of course, Gulf of Mannar. And as far as Sri Lanka was concerned, it was an assurance that India will be the benign neighbor, which will give up claim to some territory in return for joint prospects in the Vajj Bank and south of Kanyakumari.
No, but
That was the
RK,
thinking at
what
that
about
point
to the
of time.
point, and I think the RTI mentions this in some detail about how this whole thing was done because of the friendship between Indira Gandhi and Sirimao. And Indira Gandhi was coming off from the highs of winning the 1971 Bangladesh war. This was her way of trying to become statesman-like, if you will, to the other neighbors. And you're right when you say that Pakistani jets were being refueled there in the Bangladesh war. So she wanted to take the bigger view, be the bigger brother, if you will, in that sense, in this relationship. And therefore, because of their friendship, she saw no harm or no political strategic value in giving away a small piece of land.
There are two issues in this because in West Bengal, again, we see the same issue. When Berubari was about to be given away, B.C. Roy goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says that you cannot give away Indian territory unless you make a constitutional amendment to it. So it's very clear that India did not have custody of Kachchatheevu. It was a disputed land, one. Number two was that soon after this 1974 agreement of June, 2 months later, another agreement is signed on the repatriation of plantation Tamils to India. This is the second part of the agreement. The first part of the agreement was between Sirimao and Lal Bahadur Shastri. So that process was a very smooth process in 1974, and the repatriation went on till around 83-84. So India had set up a station in Colombo and of course a station in Kandy as well. So just to make sure that the plantation Tamils were safe and they returned to India in one piece. These two were part of the agreement, and we see that the DMK and ADMK manifestos since then have reflected this taking back Kachchatheevu, whereas the BJP manifesto of even 2014 or even 2019 does not say taking back Kachchatheevu. This is an electoral issue. They want to make it an electoral issue. It is not an electoral. There is no resonance on the ground in Tamil Nadu right now.
So Shekhar Iyer, if there's no resonance for this issue in Tamil Nadu right now, why is the BJP raking it up? And B, like I showed on the magic wall, if in these 6 constituencies, it's not going to have an impact, because RK says, other than in Ramanathapuram, no other constituency on this coastal belt do fishermen go and fish around Kachchatheevu. Then why is, from the Prime Minister, the External Affairs Minister, the State BJP President, they're all throwing the kitchen sink on this issue? Why?
Zaka, it is not that the BJP is raking it up. It is actually a counter-defense mechanism. If the issue did not have resonance, why was Stalin speaking about it on March 16th? Why has the DMK tried to, distance itself from the Karnataka legacy to this issue? The problem is, in this election and in every election, in fact, right from 1991, when Jayalalitha made it an issue in the August 15th Independence Day address, that Kachchatheevu was given away, and since then DMK and ADMK has been even competing among themselves to make a claim and come to the Supreme Court. Here, this time, the BJP wants to show, look, the problem has a beginning genesis in the agreement for which Karnataka was a part, for whatever reasons. But you are putting the blame on us. So the whole idea of this RTI and Prime Minister response is only to show that the DMK has a legacy to it. Because here, Ilagovan mentioned about Eracharian. In fact, Eracharian was a lone voice who opposed this agreement because there was a lot of problem, and since Karunanidhi decided that for whatever reason, and there were reasons were political, not just strategic, because Karunanidhi was keen to have a olive branch with Indira Gandhi. And their relationship have been off and on during that period. So there were political reasons, and at this moment, the purpose of the Prime Minister and Jaishankar is to show, look, this is a problem that has genesis during your period. And because all the time in Parliament, the DMK has been also asking, what have you done in 10 years? What has the Prime Minister done? And the third element, Zaka, which is very, very interesting, because the DMK also knows, the Congress knows, there have been back channel contacts between Colombo and New Delhi to see how the harassment of the Indian fishermen can be cut down. Because even this, the rights, fishing rights, there was a lot of confusion right from the beginning. Sri Lanka understood it as Indian fishermen visiting the island during that festival at the St. Anthony's Church, and for drying their nets, not for fishing. So this misinterpretation and the fact that the fishermen have had a problem. You remember, during the 2014 elections, Sushma Swaraj had visited those villages where the schemes were talked about. The Indian fishermen should go in for better boats with GPS system. They should go into more deeper sea for fishing. So there is an issue. But Kachchatheevu is such an emotional issue because the blame is sought to be put on the BJP.
All right, Mr. Langovan, please respond for you. Yeah, one second, Mr. Langovan. For the last 10 years, you're asking. I think many MPs have asked in Parliament also what you're doing about Katchatheevu. But the RTI is now showing that Mr. Karnataka was as much a participant to this decision as the Congress party back then was.
No, he had opposed, he had passed a resolution in the State Assembly. Our party leader, Ira Chelian, had spoken in the Parliament. He is party to the case in the Supreme Court. Apart from all these things, the External Affairs Minister says that he has written 21 letters to Stalin. What was found in the 21 letters is why these fishermen should go beyond the maritime border, Indian maritime border. That is what he is saying. If they go, they will be arrested. That is the letter which was written by Jaishankar. They did not take any action. They are bringing Kachchatheevu only because Stalin had written to the government of India to get back the fishermen who were arrested and put in prison in Sri Lanka, and to give back the boats which was captured by Sri Lanka. For this answer, they are diverting the issue. They don't want to save the fishermen, but they are talking about a piece of land. There are fishermen who are in the prisons, but they are bothered about land only because to hide that they could not save the fishermen, they are doing this.
Sanju Verma, the focus should have been on the fishermen and what you can do to bring the fishermen back. Rather than that, you're talking about a 1.5 kilometer long piece of land.
You know, Zaka, first and foremost, let me make it very clear, 1.5 kilometers or 14 nautical miles or 285 acres is not the point. The point is simply this, that in 1961-62, Nehru said it's a little rock, referring to Katchatheevu. He said it's just a, a small inconsequential piece of territory, and he doesn't want to be bothered by these inconsequential issues. And then Indira Gandhi said it's an uninhabited cluster of land and rocks. So the first point I'm making is, look at the audacity and the gall of the Congress party, Nehru and then his daughter Indira Gandhi, dismissing 285 acres of land as if ye unki personal jagir thi. But one point which none of your panelists have said, with no offense to Mr. R.K. Radhakrishnan, who's a senior journalist, you are talking about S. Jaishankar then being, foreign secretary, blah, blah, blah. Nobody seems to be making this point that when we signed Zaka, the Indo-Sri Lankan Maritime Agreement, why is it that the DMK played a very crucial role? Because under list 3 and the 7th schedule of the constitution, maritime interests were a part of the concurrent list. And that is the reason that first Karunanidhi gave his general acceptance, and it is then that Indira Gandhi swung into action once she knew she had Karunanidhi on her side of the fence, and then they effected this treaty which was lopsided, one-sided. But I want to tell you one thing. For everybody who's asking what has the BJP or the Modi government done, do you know the single biggest thing which nobody is talking of is when Prime Minister Narendra Modi last year met President Ranil Wickremesinghe. What did he say to Wickremesinghe? He said there are two things which you have not done, despite the fact that there was a treaty which was signed in 1987 between Rajiv Gandhi and J.R. Jayawardene. As part of the treaty, it was decided that there would be a 13th amendment, 13th amendment to the Sri Lankan constitution, whereby A, Tamil would be made one of the official languages of Sri Lanka to give indigenous rights to the Tamil-speaking people there, and B, provincial elections would be held in 9 provinces of Sri Lanka where indigenous Tamils form a majority. And Ranil Wickremesinghe said, yes, we will now be effecting the 13th amendment to make Tamil an official language in Sri Lanka and hold elections in 9 Tamil-dominated provinces so that local Tamil-speaking people are at par with the Sinhalese population.
Okay.
This is what Modi has done, which DMK failed to do.
I don't think either of that has come to fruition in Sri Lanka, but we'll leave that for another day. Thank you very much to all our guests for joining us here on the broadcast. Like I said, we will wait to see what the electoral impact, if any, of this is, but surely the political impact will be judged, of course, in the context of the elections. And like I said, the BJP is hoping that amongst the fisher folk for whom this whole arrest and detention and even some instances shooting of Tamil fishermen by the Sri Lankan Navy is a very live and resonant issue, that the BJP is hoping that by framing this as the giving away of a parcel of Indian territory to Sri Lanka 50 years ago, which was the root cause of this, the BJP is hoping that they will have some kind of salience within the fisherfolk community in Tamil Nadu across these 6-odd districts, these 6-odd parliamentary constituencies. We'll wait and see if that comes to fruition on the 4th of June. Meanwhile, let's shift focus now to the other big story. It's a huge relief for the Aam Aadmi Party and one of its senior leaders, Sanjay Singh, in the Liquorgate probe. The party's MP was today granted bail by the Supreme Court after 6 months in jail. Sanjay Singh was arrested back in October last year, and he faces charges of receiving as much as 2 crore rupees in bribes from one of the accused, Sameer Mahindru, and another of the accused, Abhishek Boinpalli. He has been in custody based on the statements of these two accused. In fact, the accused turned approver Dinesh Arora, who was one of the main people who was arrested in this scam. In fact, he was the head of Indo Spirits, which was one of the largest beneficiaries of this change of excise policy. However, the Supreme Court also said that given the inability of the agency to establish the money trail, Sanjay Singh A has met the twin conditions of bail under PMLA. The Aam Aadmi Party has claimed vindication, while the BJP has said that Sanjay Singh has not been pardoned or he's not been let off the hook. This is not an acquittal of any sorts, even saying that the money trails have been tentatively established in the cases of Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal. Meanwhile, that was not the only thing that happened in court today. In what is a huge jolt to the Aam Aadmi Party, the Enforcement Directorate has countered Mr. Kejriwal's plea against his arrest, claiming that the party is a key beneficiary of the proceeds of crime, citing the 45 crores allegedly that was used for the Goa election campaign. The question remains, despite the relief from the Supreme Court, can the Aam Aadmi Party claim that it is off the hook and that the ED has completely confiscated this false case against them?
मेरे बेटे की आज रिहाई हो गई है, बहुत खुशी है, दिल से खुश है। पूरा विश्वास था हमको कि मेरा बेटा तो निर्दोष है, ईमानदार है।
आप सत्य को दबा सकते हैं, लेकिन आप सत्य को मिटा नहीं सकते हैं। आज संजय सिंह जी की जमानत ने ये दिखा दिया। भारतीय जनता पार्टी का ये इरादा है कि आने वाले 2 महीने में लोकसभा चुनाव से पहले वो आम आदमी पार्टी के 4 और नेताओं को गिरफ्तार करने वाले हैं।
तो दिल्ली की गलियों से एक भावना आ रही है कि ईमानदारी की होती जो नीयत तुम्हारी, तो तिहाड़ तक न जाती तुम्हारी सवारी।
All right, let's go across to this face-off. It's a legal panel tonight on brass tacks. Sanjeev Unyal is a lawyer. Sanjay Hegde is senior advocate with the Supreme Court. Mr. Unyal, let me start with you. The court today has asked very pointedly to the Enforcement Directorate, where is the money trail? In PMLA cases, you have to be able to show that the said person was the beneficiary of received funds and that you're able to show that this was obtained through illegal means. And secondly, it has also said that Mr. Sanjay Singh has to go back to the trial court, and the trial court is not a blow to the Enforcement Directorate, because if it can't prove where the money trail is and recover these monies that it claims was used as kickbacks, then the case against Mr. Singh falls flat.
You see, after presumably 6 or 7 months, continuously roaming from pillar to post to get a bail, in session court, trial court, then high court, then Supreme Court, then again going in the Supreme Court. Now he is able to get a bail, and especially categorically when asked from the ED, if there is any need of further judicial custody of Mr. Sanjay Singh, then ED advocate said, no, ASG, there is no need now. So while saying no from the ED side, he got a bail. And still, he is not free. Trial is going to take place in the coming time, and it will be definitely 1.5 years or whatsoever time it will take. So he is not free. He has got a bail, and categorically I have told you when he has got the bail.
Okay, Sanjay Hegde, this is not an acquittal by any stretch of the imagination, and B, the court has also specifically said that he can't, other accused in this case cannot cite this as precedent. So tomorrow it doesn't mean that Manish Sisodia or others who are accused in this case can go to the court and say that, look, you've given bail to Sanjay Singh, grant us also bail. So the court has clearly outlined that.
Exactly.
See, the first thing is...
Sanjay Hegde.
See, the first thing is that the ED conceded. The ED conceded after it was asked a very important question by the bench. The bench says that you have kept him in custody for 6 months. Dinesh Arora initially implicated him. Later on he did. No money has been recovered. The trace of money is not there because it was long back. Fact of the matter is money has not been recovered. Please keep in mind that if we are with him, we are required to record in terms of Section 45 that there has been prima facie not committed an offence. That could have its own ramifications in trial. To decode it for your viewers, the Supreme Court basically asked the ED's lawyers, if we grant him bail, it will mean that prima facie there is no case. That would mean that your trial would possibly fall. Take instructions and come back. Why do you need him in custody? And that's when at 2 o'clock, the ED lawyers came back and said, oh, sir, we don't need him in custody. We don't go into the other questions without making this a precedent so that the others can't cite it as a precedent. In this case, grant him bail in the peculiar facts. So a very pointed question being asked, there being no specific reply in the facts of this case, the ED had to concede after fighting tooth and nail over 6 months. This could have very well, this raises questions. Was arrest necessary in the first place? The ED basically goes around saying off with so and so, off to jail, something out of Alice in Wonderland. This kind of routine arrest and abuse of the arrest provisions is what is making the courts ask questions. Today, the Supreme Court has asked pertinent questions. I have no doubt that the ED will be asked many more questions in the further court proceedings whenever Mr. Kejriwal or anybody else.
But Mr. Sanjay Hegde, in a separate matter before the Delhi High Court today, the ED has also contended that the Aam Aadmi Party as a political entity was the major beneficiary of proceeds of crime, that money laundering was done through the Aam Aadmi Party. 45 crores of these proceeds of crime were utilized for the Goa elections. And if you remember, in a separate hearing that happened a few weeks ago, even the Supreme Court had asked, why aren't you making the Aam Aadmi Party a party to this case? So it's not like either the Aam Aadmi Party or its senior leaders have been let off the hook.
Nobody has been let off the hook. But the point is that bail was very difficult to get in cases under the PMLA, as it is difficult to get in the UAPA or NDP. It was difficult, and therefore when the Supreme Court asked pointed questions and has indicated that the case against certain individuals seems to be prima facie not there, the ED dared not take that judgment in an order. If the ED was so convinced of its case, it would have said, oh, please let us argue. You pass a judgment.
Okay.
The ED chose not to take that risk. The ED also knows how insubstantial its case is, at least in Sanjay Singh's, because that's the only inference that you draw when the ED comes back and says, okay, we will not oppose bail, and you may grant it.
In fact, one of the few
other questions are not asked.
Yeah, one of the few conditions whereby in PMLA cases one can get bail is if the prosecuting agency, the investigating agency does not oppose the grant of bail. So Sanjeev Unyal, by doing so, when the bar is set so high, hasn't the ED conceded, as Sanjay Hegde is arguing, that it has no case against Sanjay Singh?
If there was no case, sometimes I ask this question from myself. Then the moment ED has registered a case against him, he would have been given a bail in the first instance. After 7 days of his taking custody by the ED, then he has gone into the court, but nobody has given him a bail.
No, because the bar for bail is set high under PMLA. For any other provision, the bail is the norm and jail is the exception, but not in the case of PMLA.
Jacob, still he is still under custody in this matter only. Then why he has got this bail after 6 months? If bail is not a right in this case, why he has gotten bail? It means bail
because the ED conceded
6 months back also. Now I have 2 points mainly. If the person who is making this case, Section 50 of PMLA, Section 19 of PMLA, clearly signifies that you are not innocent till feel guilty in other criminal matters. It is a entirely different set of sections are embedded in this. And it was, governed in 1955, not by the BJP government or the present government. So 1950 point law was tiger without teeth. Now, this is teethless tiger. Now, exactly ED has power. ED know what is almost sleeping tiger in those days.
Okay.
So the cases are very strong against all the AAP MLAs,
I must remind you and our viewers that the amendments that were made in 2018 were the ones that set the bar for bail so high, and where it effectively said that the onus of proving innocence is on the accused and not the onus of proving guilty is on the investigating agency. But we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to both our guests. I want to see how this plays out politically as well. But as we wrap up this edition of Brass Tacks, it's an exclusive conversation with CNN News 18. This was during his election blitz in Karnataka. The Union Home Minister was there today. There was a joint roadshow with the JDS, with Kumaraswamy, who is of course now the Alliance's candidate, who's fighting from the Mandya seat. Mr. Shah has also met with at least 6 upset BJP leaders, including the likes of Mr. Ishwarappa, and tried to convince them to back the party and to ensure that all 28 seats of Karnataka go to the BJP-JDS alliance. He sees a saffron sweep across the state of Karnataka. But the bigger issue today was about the SDPI extending support to Rahul Gandhi and his candidature from Wayanad in Kerala. Mr. Shah has said that the Congress is synonymous with appeasement politics, and the SDPI now extending support to Rahul Gandhi and to the Congress in Kerala is only a further reaffirmation of this appeasement politics. This exclusive conversation, and I'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time.
क्या लगता है सर आपको बीजेपी सक्सेसफुली ओल्ड मैसूर में इनरोड्स कर पाया है?
सिर्फ ओल्ड मैसूर नहीं, हम पूरे कर्नाटक की सभी 28 सीटें भारतीय जनता पार्टी जेडीएस गठबंधन जीतेगा। पूरी कर्नाटक की जनता मोदी जी को तीसरी बार प्रधानमंत्री देखना चाहती है। आप एक जन सैलाब दिखाइए, जो जन सैलाब आज उमड़ा है वो ही बताता है कि पूरा कर्नाटक मोदी जी का स्वागत करने के लिए तैयार है।
सर एक तरफ कांग्रेस अपनी गारंटियों के बारे में बात कर रहा है, पर मोदी की गारंटी ग्राउंड लेवल पर रेजोनेट हो रहा है। आपको क्राउड में काफी लोग बता रहे हैं कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स का वो कितने बेनिफिशियरीज है। कितना बड़ा मुद्दा होगा सर ये इलेक्शन में?
देखिए, बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा बनने वाला है, और मैं आपको बताता हूं, मोदी जी ने करोड़ों लाभार्थियों को जो फायदा मिल दिया है, वो जरूर इस बार मोदी जी को तीसरी बार चुनेगा।
सर, और मेरा आखिरी प्रश्न सर, कांग्रेस को केरला में एसडीपीआई का सपोर्ट मिला है सर, ये क्या इंफर कर सकते हैं सर ये एसडीपीआई सपोर्टिंग कांग्रेस इन केरला सर?
देखिए, मुझे इसमें कोई आश्चर्य नहीं है। कांग्रेस आई वर्षों से सांप्रदायिक ताकतों का साथ लेकर देश विरोधी अभियानों का प्रच्छिन्न रूप से समर्थन कर रही है। एसडीपीआई का सपोर्ट लेने का मतलब ही होता है कि आप भारत की एकता और अखंडता में विश्वास नहीं करते।
Sir, finally, South India में, okay, that was Union Minister Mr. Amit Shah saying that the guarantees of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is resonating with people. They will win all 28 seats in Karnataka.
Presented by.
Let's take a look at what actually the 2015 RTI reveals on the Kachchatheevu island that has been cited by the Congress party. Now, it states that 1974 agreement did not involve either acquiring or ceding of territory. This is what the 2015 RTI reveals, the territory that belongs to India, since the area in question had never been demarcated. So this is what 2015 RTI reveals, that the area was never demarcated, and under the agreements, the island of Katchatheevu is on the Sri Lankan side of the water of the India-Sri Lanka International Maritime Boundary Line. This is what was there in the 2015 RTI, which has now been cited by the Congress party while hitting back at the centre over the allegations on Katchatheevu. Pallavi continues. Pallavi and Aman continue to stay with us. Pallavi, now coming to you. The claim that is coming in from the Congress party is that there are discrepancies in the 2015 RTI report and the 2024 RTI report, and they have even questioned that, is that because the elections are near?
Absolutely. In fact, the whole of yesterday, the Congress party, Anjali, has been consistently making the point that, first of all, which I just mentioned, if like when the Prime Minister spoke about it for the first time in Lok Sabha in 2023, why is it that the government is now raking this up issue? They had enough of time because they are in power, clearly, and they could have done something about it, because the BJP has always claimed to, and the government has always claimed to have a very robust foreign policy. And, you know, it could have been very easily done. And why was it not done? Second, I mean, a leader after leader has gone on to say that this is just a selective usage of the RTI report. Whatever side suits the BJP narrative, they pick it up and they try to create a narrative. They're trying to create a rift between the DMK and the Congress. Like, more than a Congress, which is, of course, a national level party and also has stakes in Tamil Nadu, DMK is a Tamil Nadu based party. That's an emotive factor, because Tamil versus Tamil, along with Sri Lanka, is always had that very deep emotional connect for generations, as we were talking about, Anjali. So what is the BJP trying to do politically? Stoke and provoke the DMK to ask them this question: look, isn't the Congress becoming a liability for you? How are you going to respond to that? And when we are going to see the election dates nearing in Tamil Nadu, of course the BJP is going to build up the tempo on this. That's what they are doing vis-a-vis the DMK. But moving beyond that at the national level, as I just pointed out, of course they are going to push the narrative that the Congress has always been against nationalism. 2019 Lok Sabha elections, Pulwama, Balakot airstrikes, something which the BJP has never allowed the Congress to forget. And that's the point which Congress has been saying. That, and Digvijay Singh, I remember, Udit Raj, all of them would say, let elections come. BJP will find out an agenda and they're going to push it and they're going to try and play the nationalism card. That's exactly what the Congress is now accusing the BJP of.
All right, Pallavi, please stay with us. Aman, now coming to you, in yesterday's press conference that was held by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he said that it was the Congress that gave away the island, but it was the DMK that hid it. In fact, the 2024 RTI also mentions that Karuna Nadi was very well taken into confidence, and he took this decision to not make any public stand for obvious political reasons. So what could have been these obvious political reasons?
Well, Anjali, that is the real damaging part for the DMK here. You know, DMK always has taken a public stand that it did not want this island to be given away to Sri Lanka. That's been the DMK's consistent stand. It has been writing to the centre to, in fact, get back the island. But now what has transpired through this RTI, the new revelation which has come is that in 1974, Indira Gandhi had sent the then Foreign Secretary, Mr. Keval Singh, to Chennai to meet Mr. M. Karunanidhi, who was then the DMK chief as well as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. The Chief Minister was briefed about the entire suggested proposal that, to hand over this island to Sri Lanka and settle this dispute as a bilateral measure. Mr. M. Karunanidhi said he was in principle agreement with it. He was convinced by it. only that M. Karnataka is quoted in that RTI document saying that, I cannot be expected to take a political stand over it publicly because, there are political reasons. He even promised the Foreign Secretary that he would keep the reaction in Tamil Nadu at a low key, ensure that things don't go out of hand because it's an emotive issue for people of Tamil Nadu. So in a way, Mr. Karnataka, while in the public, he was, saying that, DMK is against it. DMK has been saying that consistently. This RTI document is now for the first time revealing that Mr. M. Karnataka was actually taken on board by the centre before this decision was taken. He promised them full cooperation. He even promised them that the reaction in Tamil Nadu to this move would be kept at low key and he will ensure that things don't go out of hand. And the centre had appreciated Mr. Karnataka's stand. At that RTI document said the Foreign Secretary thanked him, saying that nothing should be done which should embarrass the centre or create a rift within the centre and the state government. So this is what is, I think, creating a lot of trouble for the DMK ahead of the election season in Tamil Nadu, because the BJP now is going hammer and tongs. Mr. Annamalai, Mr. Narendra Modi, when they begin their campaign, Mr.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. How can the rupee become a global currency? The Prime Minister of India has asked the Central Bank of India to work on it, on making the rupee more appealing and accessible globally. Why is this important and how can India do it? We'll discuss that tonight. In China, phone maker Xiaomi has become a car maker and its EV debut is a super hit. 90,000 orders on day one and a 7-month waiting period. But the company will incur millions of dollars in losses because of this car. We'll explain why. In West Asia, Israel attacks the Iranian embassy in Syria. Iran says it will respond. Is Netanyahu angling for a wider conflict? What is the strategy here? In the US, lawmakers